Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You know what they say, two heads are better than one, and Chaos is off with their aerial death squad as they face off against the Bretonnians. We have Gidat Mule is going to be leading the Chaos forces, and we have Tono will be leading the forces of Bretonnia. So for Chaos, it is definitely just a straightforward melee rush, as they have a front line of Chaos Marauders mixed in with a couple of Forsaken as well as the Mirror Guard. And the Mirror Guard, despite them being Chaos Warriors, they still have the same speed as the Chaos Marauders, so they'll be able to keep pace unlike normal Chaos Warriors would. And Forsaken here do very well just chewing through enemy chaff units, like so, especially peasant mobs, men-at-arms. They'll do quite good work there. We also have a pair of Chaos Knights on top of that to kind of just assist in those engagements. However, they will be a little outclassed by the Bretonnian cavalry, so only two of them is really going to be a hard for them to effectively deal with all of the Bretonnian cav. Now, for the leadership department, we do have a Chaos Sorcerer Lord of Metal, so he is going to be bringing Plague of Rust and Final Transmutation, and he will be protected by a pair of Exalted Heroes on their feral manticore, or on their manticores, not so feral with them on board, so they won't be rampaging, so they do have a nice little bit of melee potential with them to help kind of goon out characters and really just protect that Chaos Sorcerer Lord. There is also a couple of Chaos Warhounds in the far flanks, so we have one vanguarded off into the corner there, and we have another one in the back line. This one does have poison, so that will be able to help these Chaos Knights with those cav engagements getting that poison, but Bretonnia does have quite a few sources of poison as well. So for the Bretonnian forces, we do have King Lewin Leoncoeur up in the skies. He is going to bring his Sword of Corone and the Lion Shield. We have some Royal Hippogriff Knights as well up in the sky, so that is going to be a very formidable foe, as these are extremely elite monstrous units, and they should be able to handle that feral or the Chaos Manticores and the Dragon fairly effectively. Now, for the rest of the army, we do have just a very spread out formation, kind of typical of what you'll see for Bretonnia. So we have a front line of peasant mobs, and they will be backed up by a bunch of peasant bowmen. So we do have a bunch of pox. So these are all pox. We have a bunch of poison damage coming in from across the board. So they can pretty much poison all of the main targets that they need to. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord, the Chaos Knights, both of the Chaos Exalted Heroes, all at the same time. So that's going to be extremely helpful for the Bretonnians here, and they won't be poisoning any of their own troops. For the rest of the troops, though, we do have some Spearmen at Arms on the flanks, and just 4 of those, and that is it for the infantry department. And then there are going to be some Grail Knights, Knights of the Realm, as well as another unit of Knights of the Realm. So really just doubling down on all of that archer fire with the Royal Hippogriff Knights are really going to have to pull their weight here. And there is also the Damsel of Life bringing Earthblood and Regrowth, kind of pretty standard, keeping King Lewin and especially those Royal Hippogriff Knights, even Regrowths on them will do very, very good work. So that is going to be our armies for today. So let's get this show on the road as the Chaos does advance, and Bretonnians are kind of going to be moving to reposition a bit, get all of their archers up in a line and ready to fire in upon the approaching forces of Chaos. So yeah, at this point, Chaos definitely just going to have to rush in and just try and break down the Bretonnian forces as quickly as possible. With how spread out they are, it's going to be a little difficult for Chaos to just shut down everything that they need to very, very quickly. Though at the same time, the front line is just peasant mobs, and unless these spearmen move forward, which at this point they really should, knowing that there's not really a whole lot in the back line, you do have some Chaos Warhounds that you want to protect, but the cavalry should be more than enough to deal with that. And there is quite a few holes in the Bretonnian line. And the Forsaken and like the Mirror Guard, for example, are very, very quick, and they can quickly bridge those gaps and shut them down as quickly as they can. This time, so we have some peasant bowmen are starting to fire in, and not really going to be doing a whole lot to these Mirror Guard. They do have silver shields and 100 armor, so they will take very little damage. The Forsaken really should be the targets for them on this initial approach. A nice little charge by these Grail Knights, I do believe, and they get a nice charge in and do pull back as the Chaos Knights try and get a counter charge. Another nice charge by the Knights of the Realm here. As here is a breath attack though going down. It looks like he was trying to target these Grail Knights, but it was with the spread out formation just wasn't very good target for them. And then now here is that aerial goon squad. We do have a cast going down. It looks like it is a final transmutation, and it is an overcast one, and it is a juicy target too, as the Royal Hippogriff Knights, King Lewin, and these Grail Knights all get caught up in that cast. Very nice indeed. And now this aerial engagement is going underway. So far going fairly decently for Chaos. However, the Chaos Sorcerer Lord has taken a ton of damage, and there is poison coming in. The two Exalted Heroes, though, beating down King Lewin fairly well. He is down to 50% health, but one of the Exalted Heroes has taken a ton of damage, as Sword of Corone is also popped. Really reducing the effectiveness of this goon squad fairly well, and those Royal Hippogriff Knights are now relentlessly charging after the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, who does go onto the ground, trying to avoid them as best they can, trying to get some infantry support. However, down they come, and they are just surrounding that Chaos Sorcerer Lord, doing really good work right now. And these Exalted Heroes are starting to take a ton of damage, as well as one does rout, and that is not very good for Chaos, as they lose, and he even goes down as King Lewin does drop in, and he is at like full health again, as he has a regrowth that is just healing him up back up to full, and he does have his own little bit of regen, so that's going to be very dangerous for Chaos, especially now that they have lost their Sorcerer Lord. So that is going to be it for Magic, at least for the time being, and that Exalted Hero is not in a better spot right now, as he is getting gooned by these Royal Hippogriff Knights and King Lewin, and he is just not going to be able to escape this, as these Royal Hippogriff Knights have so much mass. They're just going to be able to hold them in as best they can. There is two Chaos Knights here trying to break things down, but if we take a look at the rest of the engagements, Chaos has really broken through on all of the other fronts. It is really just this core engagement, but that is the engagement that matters, as that is all of the very high value targets right now. The Chaos Sorcerer Lord does come back, so there is some magic back into the field, but his combat prowess at this point is very low, and King Lewin and these Royal Hippogriff Knights are just going to be hounding him for the rest of the match, as he is going to be trying to escape. I don't know if he will be able to, but the Forsaken coming in, chasing after all these peasant mobs, eliminating the threats here, and the Exalted Hero still alive for the most part, surprisingly enough. Even that goon squad was not enough to take him down. They may have pulled out a little too quickly here. Probably finishing him off would have been better, but now these Grail Knights are routing themselves. Some shots coming in from the peasant mobs, starting to waver that Exalted Hero. However, in the rear contingent here, we do have these Chaos Knights are engaging with the Royal Hippogriff Knights themselves on the ground, and they will be able to hold off fairly well. They still have all of their models, despite being at 50% health, though they do have a regrowth, so they'll be healing up a ton. So as long as they don't lose the models, that spell caster is going to do exceptional work at the Damsel of Life there. And the Forsaken, though, are just breaking down the rest of the troops, though, as even the Knights of the Realm are starting to waver. A lot of the ground forces are starting to vanish for Bretonnia here. There are still some Knights of the Realm here, but there's plenty of Chaos Knights still on the field trying to deal with things. King Lewin still just going to be circling in the air at this point, as the Exalted Hero now is just gone from the picture. And yeah, these Royal Hippogriff Knights, even despite the fact that they're pretty much surrounded by Chaos Knights, are able to kind of just pull out of that engagement with relative ease, though King Lewin does come in to assist, trying to peel off these Chaos Knights as best he can to allow these Royal Hippogriff Knights to take off, and they still have quite a bit of healing left, and still have all 6 models with 3 chevrons doing a ton of damage, but away goes that Damsel of Life, so no more healing for them as long as this Damsel does not return. Sword of Corone is popped by King Lewin, and Lion Shield as well, allowing him to just kind of tank through all this damage. There's nothing that can really damage him at this point, as it is. I mean, there's the Chaos Knights with some cycle charging could do a good amount of work, but yeah, the Royal Hippogriff Knights and King Lewin going to be a very formidable foe, especially in this late game, though that Damsel of Life just continuing to take damage and does shatter. So that is it for the healing, and although the Bretonnian peasants are starting to just kind of run away at this point, Chaos Knights trying to just kind of clean things up, deal with these peasant mobs as best they can, as they try to just kind of skirt around these Spearmen at Arms and get a nice charge in, but that poison is just slowing them down, allowing King Lewin and the Royal Hippogriff Knights to catch up and engage. However, these 2 Spearmen getting caught out by the Forsaken, as well as some Warhounds. But yeah, these Chaos Knights, though, just getting run down, or I guess flown down, by all of the flying units of Bretonnia. Balance of power is a little bit in Bretonnia's favor at this point, but the Warhounds, now that these Chaos Knights are keeping King Lewin occupied, are able to get on top of the Peasant Bowmen and get a very nice charge in and should be able to quickly break them down. And here is that Chaos Sorcerer Lord back again. He does have Arcane trying to get a little bit of magic left, but here comes that aerial goon squad looking to chase him down, and he does shatter just as the mere presence of these flyers do come into the picture. Now, if we take a look at what is left for Bretonnia, though, all of these units are just shattered across the board. There is one unit of spearmen way off into the tree line here, as they are just kind of one unit that is coming back. However, King Lewin and these Royal Hippogriff Knights are off chasing the shattered Chaos Sorcerer Lord, so they're just kind of off on a little adventure here that they really don't need to be doing anymore now that the Sorcerer Lord is indeed shattered, and the rest of the Chaos forces are just kind of going to be consolidating themselves, trying to protect against the charge of the Royal Hippogriff Knights and King Lewin. However, they do now see that there is a Spearman at Arms here, very, very isolated, so I wouldn't be surprised if these Chaos Warhounds do turn and chase them down, just getting the last of the support off the field, and that is the last of the ground forces as well for Bretonnia, which means that these two flyer units will have to land, otherwise they'll continually suffer increasing leadership penalties, and that will be actually, considering how far away they are now, that they've chased that Chaos Sorcerer Lord all the way off to the edge of the map, that could potentially lose them the match. The fact that they're way off into the Shadow Realm without any support here, and as soon as these Warhounds do get even close to these Spearmen at Arms, they'll shatter and away they go. So now those flyers are going to start getting that penalty. The fact that they do not have any ground troops at all, and they are off way off into the other side of the map, and Chaos, all they have to do is just wait, because they can't engage those flyers on the ground. They have no missile units at all. So just consolidate, keep all of your troops in a protected state, so wherever that King Lewin and those Royal Hippogriff Knights do decide to land, they'll be able to respond and either just collapse on them or kind of pull out certain units. Especially those Chaos Knights need to be free to cycle charge as best they can, and that should be the target that King Lewin and the Royal Hippogriff Knights do try and target initially, is those pretty much the last of the heavy hitters, because the Forsaken, they're not going to do anything against them. The Chaos Marauders themselves, Mirror Guard might be able to slowly whittle them down a bit by bit. They still have 64 models, so that could potentially be a way back, but those Royal Hippogriff Knights starting to really feel that leadership penalty as they are approaching. As you can see, that tick is slowly going up, minus 32 now, minus 33, that they have to land to essentially eliminate that penalty, and it's just continuing to grow and is getting closer and closer to routing, as they are now wavering, as they weren't able to quickly zone in, and King Lewin needs to land to eliminate that penalty as best he can, and he does finally land down, but those Royal Hippogriff Knights do rout in the end, and that is very, very bad for the Bretonnians here, as now King Lewin himself is wavering, as he is unable to stabilize his leadership, and he routs as well. The Royal Hippogriff Knights do regain their leadership, since they do have some ground troops left. However, they are still wavering themselves, and with King Lewin just trapped down, that is going to be it, as Bretonnian loses due to leadership penalties. Unfortunate for them. And let's take a look at the after battle report. Now, in that very end of the battle, King Lewin targeted the rear of the Chaos forces. Had he landed in the front, he would have landed soon enough for those Royal Hippogriff Knights to stay in the fight. They would have regained their leadership, and that could have been a very different ending had King Lewin decided to land upon for example, the Mirror Guard, who was up front. While it is the more elite troop, he needed to land as soon as he possibly could to avoid that air penalty. But otherwise, for the rest of the armies here, the Royal Hippogriff Knights getting 3 chevrons themselves, 47 kills only, but they did so much damage to that Chaos Sorcerer Lord, the 2 Exalted Heroes, who just were no match for them and King Lewin in the air, especially with the Sword of Corone and all of the heals from the Damsel of Life. And losing that Damsel of Life in that late game was also very critical for Bretonnia, as the Royal Hippogriff Knight still had quite a bit of healing left. King Lewin really didn't need to have NA himself, as he does have his innate regen, but otherwise the two Chaos Knights were able to pull their weight despite being a little outgunned with the Grail Knights, and I mean the supporting Royal Hippogriff Knights should have been able to deal with the Chaos Knights. However, they were able to get the correct engagements and pull out in the end. And the Forsaken, I think, are also a very, very good pick here, because you know you're going to be facing a bunch of chaff units for Bretonnia. Now, they are kind of low armor, and they don't have any shields, so peasants can do a lot of damage with their peasant bowmen. However, they just chew through those chaff units very, very quickly, allowing the rest of the forces to get into the back line and shut them down, and then remove that poison damage, while these poison warhounds can then assist with those big cav engagements, and then providing the poison themselves. But a very fun match and a very interesting ending. You don't often see that air penalty coming into effect, but having Bretonnia chase them all the way to the edge of the map was a bit unfortunate for them. But that is all I have for you all here today. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.